Have you ever spent a Friday night with your honey trying to figure out what you're going to eat, only to be frustrated because you both can't agree? You both know what you don't want, but you can't decide what you do want. The same can happen in business. We always know what we don't want because of the emotions we tie to the outcome or the thought, but when it comes to stating it in a clear strategy, we just can't. The mistake I've noticed when it comes to working with our subconscious mind to set out our goals is stating them in an unclear way that presumes that we are avoiding something instead of going towards a reward. In this episode, I share how your emotions play a key part in your business success. So if you've been feeling a lot of disappointment, frustration, anger, sadness, or any other negative emotion when it comes to how you're experiencing growing your business, then you're going to want to stick around for this episode. Hey you, your next level of expansion is here. And you're not going to accomplish it through hustle and grind. Oh no, not you. You allow ease and flow to come through you so that you can manifest the business of your dreams. Welcome to the Aligned Businesswoman podcast, where you get to be in flow and allow your strategic CEO to meet your inner goddess. This is the podcast for female entrepreneurs who want to strengthen their intuition muscle while applying simple and practical business growth strategies to accelerate it. We'll combine energetics and strategy along with human design and your gene keys to optimize your business performance and results. Before we begin, you're going to want to grab my free meditation called Infinite Awareness to assist you in exploring your subconscious mind for evidence of the resources required to achieve your goals. You can grab that in the show notes. Welcome back to another episode of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. Vanessa and Miller here. How has your week gone so far? I started a detox with one of my friends. She's actually on the board of Texas Women in Business with me. She sells ID Life, and I did a detox with her. And wow, I dropped almost 5 pounds the first week. So by the time you hear this episode, I don't know, maybe I've dropped another 5 pounds, but I'm really enjoying the simplicity of this 30-day detox. All right, so let's dive into today's episode where we're going to be talking about your emotions and how to shift into more powerful, positive emotions to create the life that you want. So what this is going to do, it's going to motivate you to take action in a direction that is more in alignment with the outcome you want to be able to achieve. Let's start off by talking about the role of our emotions when it comes to motivation, goal setting, and achieving those goals. The best way to explain this is with the NLP communication model. We perceive information through our 5 senses. So we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell things. And when that information comes into our brains, we delete, distort, and generalize some of that information just to quickly process that information so we can make a decision on how to proceed with the information that's coming in. Now, another thing that alters that information is the time and location, our mood, our language, memories, decisions, beliefs, values, and identity. What that really means is that when information comes in, automatically our brain goes through our, if you want to say our database, right? Our database of memories. And it says, I remember this smell. This smell meant this based off of my past. So when we are having these emotions from the actions that we're taking in our business that is resulting in something, we'll tie it back to a past experience. And that's going to make us further feel something. There's like a cycle that goes on. So let me give you a practical example of this. Let's say that you feel unworthy and you know it's time for you to sell your product or your services. Let's say that you're launching a new course and you go out and start speaking to people. Maybe you speak to 2 people and they both tell you no. And because you feel unworthy, you feel like, what's the point of me going and asking another person? And then you stop. And then you the thought then becomes, see, I knew I was unworthy of this success of me selling out this course because no one's bought from me. That is a generalization because you've only asked 2 people to purchase your course, but then it reinforces the belief that you're unworthy, that gives you these thoughts that you are unworthy and giving you that emotion that you tie to unworthiness. So whether that is feeling sad, feeling shame, feeling anger, eventually as we continue to experience these negative emotions, it becomes even more engraved in our belief system. Then pretty soon, all we can focus on is the negative emotion, and we don't even know what a positive emotion or the opposite of that negative emotion looks like. It reminds me of the time when I gave up on my vegetable garden and I just let everything die. And eventually what would happen is that when it would die, the seeds would just decompose in the soil, and then it would replant itself over and over again. And so when I wanted to go plant new things later on, when I was like, okay, I think I could do it this time, I had to dig up all of those weeds, because then otherwise the seeds would regrow in between the new type of vegetable I was trying to grow. This happens a lot with our belief systems that do not serve us. It's like trying to plant new seeds of a new crop, but instead we are getting that weed again. Or maybe it's not a weed, we're getting that old plant that we no longer want. So we have to get very clear on what we do want. What seeds of success do we want to plant? If we want to plant these seeds of success, abundance, wealth, health, so what do we need to remove from the soil that we're planting it in that doesn't serve the growth of this new seed? When it comes to our emotions, sometimes we just don't know. We know what we don't want, but we don't know what we do want. A great example of this is when I walk people through time techniques where we're going back to the root cause of a limiting belief, a negative emotion. I have them reframe and decide, what do you want instead? What do you want to experience in this moment so that in the present and the future, you're experiencing those things? Probably 90% of the time, people will say what they don't want. They're like, well, I don't want to feel sad. Well, I don't want to feel abandoned. And so I had to ask, well, what is the opposite for you? And it takes some time for them to explain what the opposite is, because they're so unclear of like, well, what does that even look like? How does that even feel? So I coach them through. I'm like, okay, well, what is the opposite of this? And we get to the point with enough questions and enough peeling back where the opposite is something far more empowering that is going to catapult them to their next level and removing what they once perceived as the only thing to exist. The reason why we can't just say, well, I don't want to feel sadness is because the subconscious mind doesn't process negatives. It's like telling someone, don't think of a blue tree. Well, you can't help but think of a blue tree, so you can't think about the blue tree. Therefore, the blue tree is going to be in your focus. So we need to shift from what we don't want to clearly defining what we do want. Remember, the subconscious mind needs clear instructions because it loves to serve you. Let's do an activity so that we shift you into a powerful, positive emotion. And this is not something that everyone talks about when they talk about mindset, because they talk about the beliefs. But what if we can change our emotions enough so that as we're working on the beliefs, we bring in what we want to feel in the future, we bring it into the here and now. I'm only going to go through about 3 different emotions. The rest you can catch on my blog, or if you're on my email list, I have sent out some exercises that you can do for a lot other types of emotions, or maybe even check out the carousel that I posted on Instagram. But let's start with if you're feeling unmotivated, or maybe you're feeling like passionless, like indifferent. What would be the positive emotion that you want to be able to feel that's going to empower you? Well, that would be passion. You'll want to activate the feelings of passion so it fuels your motivation and it helps you stay committed during challenging times. To activate the feeling of passion, reconnect with your why. Write down why you started your business in the first place, and then visualize the impact you dream of making. Next, if you're feeling doubt, insecurities, imposter syndrome, or uncertainty, you're going to want to shift into some more confidence. Believing in yourself and your abilities is essential for taking risks and making decisions. Confidence will radiate to those around you and inspire trust. To activate confidence, you want to create a success jar. Each time you achieve something, no matter how small, write it down and add it to your jar. So whenever you're feeling uncertain or any of the opposite of confidence, you'll want to pick out a little note, a little love note from your jar, and then read it. Now, if you're feeling any hesitation in your business right now, then you'll want to move towards determination and motivation. This is the unwavering virtue to achieve your goals. It will help you overcome obstacles and persevere through setbacks. So the exercise that you could do is set small, achievable goals. Completing these will build momentum and strengthen your determination. In the blog, I cover other negative emotions that you may want to transmute, like guilt, helplessness, hopelessness, dissatisfaction, lack of clarity. So make sure that you check out the blog post for that. Now let's discuss the tangible results from having these positive emotions. This can lead to increased productivity and motivation. When you feel passionate and empowered, you're more likely to take an initiative, solve problems effectively, and achieve your goals. It also leads to improved decision-making. Confidence and optimism can lead to clearer thinking and more strategic choices for your business. Choosing to feel these emotions and taking action on these exercises are going to give you an overall sense of satisfaction and fulfillment from your business. Before I go over a mindfulness routine that you can start practicing today, I want to emphasize that it is so important for you to go to the root cause to remove these negative emotions. You can't just pile on affirmations and positive thinking and think that these things are going to go away. Going to the root cause of these negative emotions by reframing them, like I do when I take people through time techniques during an abundance activation or the abundance accelerator. Now let's cover some strategies that you may want to incorporate into your daily routine. First, start with gratitude. Reflect on what you're grateful for in your business, big and small. This could be a supportive client, a talented team member, or a small win that you achieved. Maybe you were consistent and you showed up the entire week for your business on social media. Next, you want to set achievable goals and celebrate milestones. Breaking down large goals into smaller, manageable steps creates a sense of accomplishment, and this can keep you motivated to keep on going. Third, you want to focus on progress, not perfection. Acknowledge your efforts and celebrate your progress, even if whatever you're working on is not completed or it's not perfect. Next, surround yourself with positive people. Building a network of supportive mentors, colleagues, and friends who believe in you can provide encouragement and inspiration. Lastly, practice self-care. Taking care of your physical and mental well-being, as well as your emotional and your spiritual well-being, is essential. If you have not downloaded my CEO audit workbook, then you need to, because I walk you through on how to set up your balanced work week so that you can work in this self-care to your regular business routine. Let's wrap up with a brief recap. So we discuss the role emotions play when it comes to achieving our goals and taking action, and how our emotions will influence our actions, and then the results that we get will reinforce our beliefs, thoughts, and our emotions. We talked about how we can shift from a negative emotion into a positive emotion, and the importance of actually going to the root cause of this negative emotion and reframing it with time techniques or any other type of hypnosis or subconscious reprogramming. And then we talked about, once we remove those negative emotions, a mindfulness practice that we can take part in so that we can maintain these positive emotions. Well, that is a wrap, my love. Let me know what you thought about this episode by leaving a review, and then also just mentioning what emotion helps you get the most out of your business and how do you cultivate it. All right, I'll catch you next week on the next episode of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. See you later. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Aligned Businesswoman podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Ann Miller, and I'm so excited to share some goodies with you. Head over to the show notes so you can grab your free gift and make sure to leave a review and join me inside the Aligned Businesswoman Facebook group. Until next week, bye-bye, my love.